Hello. Thanks for joining the stream. You saw that was a weird one to start on that screen. I just put in the words Clipart and into archive.org and we're searching by date, but it was showing me the newest ones first. And obviously, some people uploaded their pictures under Clipart. Um, so now it's showing the oldest stuff first, but we're going to dive into that in a little bit. So I wanted to set some expectations for the stream. I want to check that everyone can see me and hear me. It's a bit of a weird one. I don't know if I can control the side-by-side split layout that I'm seeing here because I've kind of stuck this together with duct tape and a bit of elbow grease. Seeing and hearing, great to see that. Thank you. I'm not sure if I can change these settings because I'm using Riverside through YouTube, and I'm glad at least you can hear me. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see the detail on my screen share, but we're going to get through it. So yeah, what is this stream? Well, I'm kind of working on my next video, and I've decided to do the very the tentative title of that video is The Rise and Fall of Clip Art. And so I want to kind of do a bit of a dive on the clip art industry that emerged around the 1990s. Hey, thanks for watching on an old CRT to get the full clip art experience. Again, apologies if my interaction with the chat isn't super yeah, immediate because this is my first time doing a solo stream. I should set that up first. I've done one kind of proof of concept stream a while back with another YouTuber that some of you might know, but that was only for Discord members. So this is my first time just going live public. Will be interesting. See if I can stay on topic. But yeah, so the stream is I'm kind of doing some research at the moment for my next video, which will be all about clip art and its rise during the era of desktop publishing from the 80s through the 90s, early 2000s. And I wanted to have a look at some of the original sources, some of the things that were written in the press about clip art, some of the stuff that that was in trade magazines, PC magazines, Mac User Magazine, that kind of stuff, and see if we can find any interesting stuff, but also mostly because I just love looking at old magazines. I love looking at old PC magazines, old design industry magazines, at all the kind of really dated aesthetics, but also kind of the software and the kind of stuff that you find in there. Some of those that really date me by my recognition of some of the older stuff. Some of the stuff is from like when I was just born. But anyway, let's jump in, and I'm going to try to interact with the chat. But as I said, I'm not a streamer. I'm not a good stream guy. So let's see how this one goes. And thank you for all the nice comments that have come in about the most recent video. It was quite it's interesting that it blew up so big. I'm surprised myself, but always happy to see people take an interest in my niche interest. So I think I want to start with this article here. And I'm apologies again if this writing is going to be really tiny, I think, on a split screen. I'm going to quickly go over and see if there's anything I can do in terms of changing the view. Is there anything I can do here? I think it's just set automatically to do that. Settings. Apologies, I should have played more with the settings of this before going live, but there we go. I'm going to read it out loud so that you won't miss it. But this is from the New York Times. And this article actually comes from August 4th, 1985. So not long after I first entered the planet myself. and it's called Adding a Dash of Visual Sparkle. Let's go in there. Adding a dash of visual sparkle. A set of programs for the PC is adding flashy graphics to financial reports. Every reviewer has certain built-in prejudices that color the way in which a subject is handled. Those personal biases should really be stated as caveats, although they do become obvious enough to readers after a while. In my own case, for instance, if I were reviewing music, I would have to admit to a strong partiality towards pre-1900 compositions. This is great. This is the tech writer for the New York Times. There you go. In 1985. When it comes to literature, I'll take Dickens, Hardy, or even, yes, a good Rex Stout mystery over Hemingway any day. And when the subject is computer software, perhaps I should mention that graphics has never been high on my list of great accomplishments in personal computing. Then again, visually, I tend to be a Bruegel person. Bruegel person? There's a dated reference. I hope you're having a lovely Saturday evening as well, everybody. And thanks for jumping in. Thank you for the nice comments. It is going to be a bit of story time with Linus. I'm going to be reading stuff. Rather than just reading it to myself, I thought I'd share it with you. So thanks for coming along. I tend to be a Bruegel person. Maybe someone can tell me how that's pronounced. That said, let me immediately add that software publishers seem to feel quite differently. They appear convinced that there is a vast market out in the great electronic beyond, consisting of business users who are just dying to get their hands on some pie charts that can be used to jazz up reports or that can be turned into computer-generated slides for multimedia presentations. Frankly, I find the prettiest picture a business can present is an attractive bottom line on the accountant's statement, in plain black and white. I didn't think this would be such an entertaining read. I saw the headline and I thought, but this is quite telling of we have the benefit of hindsight, of course, so we could be quite smug when we read this. Nothing jazzes me up quite like a good pie chart. Exactly. Bruegel. Oh, I still don't know who that is a reference to, showing my ignorance there. Yes, black and white. Nevertheless, for those who desire something more colorful in their business summations, graphic software for personal computers is coming into its own. Think pictures in the context of personal computing, and one naturally thinks of the Macintosh. The IBM PC has never been known for great graphics, yet the granddaddy of presentation graphic systems is ExecuVision. $395 from the for the IBM PC with color monitor and color graphics adapter from Prentice Hall. And there's a phone number, so I don't know if there's any Zoomers. A Dutch painter. That's who he was referencing, of course. High culture from the New York Times. I don't know if there's any Zoomers watching this stream, but you used to order software that came in a box by calling a telephone number or faxing. So yeah, this venerable system has been around for more than a year now. A year-old piece of software is venerable in 1985, and is capable of producing three basic kinds of charts: bar, line, and pie graphs. What makes it of current interest, however, is the continuous stream of supplemental software disks emanating from the publisher. These auxiliary programs offer a veritable library of graphics images, interesting construction, that can be used with the main program disk. Bruegel, yes, Dutch painter, good. We're glad we sorted out that. Those medieval-looking paintings. And sorry, I'm getting distracted by that. Side note. A brand new product from the company called EV Capture Plus acts as a universal interface, permitting the incorporation of information from other programs such as Lotus 123, WordStar, DBase 2, and Framework, as well as the utilization of many printers for hard copy, including the IBM Color Printer and Hewlett-Packard, blah, blah, blah. Where's it get to Clipart? This is quite the preface. Oh, here we go. The basic concept behind ExecuVision is one of providing an electronic collection of clip art from which the user may select illustrative material to enhance the printed data or to make slides. The program offers text capabilities as well, which allow one to compose verbal copy to go with the canned art. Other options include sketching to supplement the available pictures and a cut and paste feature. In 1985, cut and paste was a feature you put on the box that permits the selection of only a portion of a picture. An interesting feature of the program is scaling, which allows the user to change the size and shape of an object, be it a picture or a character from one of the 10 fonts available. What a selection. The emphasis throughout is on color and flash. When ExecuVision is fired up, the red bordered screen has all the appearance of Times Square at midnight, with flashing colored letters and arrows to distraction. I half expected to see the old billboard for Camels. Those are cigarettes. I don't know if that demonetizes the stream immediately. I haven't turned on monetization. To be honest, this is going to be worth its entry price today. I find my Princeton monitor blowing smoke rings from the hole around the pull-on knob. Pull-on knob. Did computers in 1985 have a pull-on knob instead of a turn-on, like a power switch? I guess. Yeah, I don't know. This isn't LGR or one of these retro tech channels. Maybe one of them knows about the pull-on knob. Instead, true to a more traditional sequence of affairs in computerdom, I was greeted by a series of menus. ExecuVision is completely menu-driven and, on the whole, very easy to use, but while I am not personally wildly enthusiastic about using a mouse to handle data on screen, I do think this is one piece of software that would lend itself well to mouse-activated pull-down menus. The menu-driven approach tends, in this instance, to be somewhat clumsy. Yeah, this is when people used command line stuff to use a keyboard to navigate around. We've got some great deep dive on Pieter Bruegel going on in the chat, and thank you. 10 fonts, I know. I don't even know that were bitmap fonts. Were they PostScript fonts? Very interesting questions. Oh, here we go. We get to the fonts. For example, when selecting fonts, one is presented with the choice of Futura, Singdot, Italic, Data, System, Block 1, More, Exit. Well, that is he's describing quite a strange, maybe pull on knob will get me demonetized. He is describing quite a clunky interface then. I think you get the choice of Futura and then all of these options, and then select More, and one is presented with Euros 1, Blocks 2, Euros 2, More, Bold, Exit. More, in this case, sends the user back to the first menu instead of actually offering more choices. Also, the fonts are listed in ordinary type rather than being displayed in their own style. A convenience which many MacWrite users have become accustomed to. Yeah, that is a good point. If you can't see you get no font preview. This is pretty primitive stuff. My guess is that, Futura obviously is Futura, but Euros could be Eurostyle or Eurostyle, I suppose. That's probably how it's properly pronounced, but that's, famously used in a lot of sci-fi movies, 2001 being one of them, or Micro Gamma, technically, but Eurostyle. The color, moreover, consists of 64 hues selected through the use of a color choice command and manipulated by means of a fill command. It does sound very, very cumbersome this whole way. But this is often... oh, thank you very much, Hunter. I'm just going to stop to... This is, I guess, what streamers do. You stop to read the super chats. Hunter writes, lovely early web content. Your AI talk inspired me to present about musical AI at my college. The quality and structure of your vids inspire me so much. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining the stream, and I'm glad that I could inspire you to share some of your own knowledge. Music AI is a whole crazy thing. Easter egg, if you find one of my least watched videos, I think from 2020, early on in the channel, I did a roundup of comparing zoom and enhance from the movies with real current software, and I think I did a CSI Miami spoof intro that I used some AI thing to generate so I would avoid the copyright strike on the CSI theme. So yeah, Hunter, go back and listen to that and see if you can tell me what the AI was that I used. Oh, somebody watched it at least. Good, good, good. Um, but I wanted to talk about this article, I guess, because it's the oldest mention of clip art on the New York Times, which is a good starting point for any research on it, and a few like Wikipedia. I did a cursory search of articles about the history of clip art, and a few mentioned this system that was the ExecuVision. I don't think I'm going to dwell on it a lot in the actual final video because, this is really early days. As they kind of said, it's 1985, was released in 1984, and it was very, very rudimentary, and it wasn't quite mainstream yet. But I did want to kind of find out a little bit more about, about it. So this is just in order mentions of clip art that are in the New York Times. Here's 1989. Cards, flyers, and banners. This one's interesting. This, I think, is getting much more towards the kind of... I went back through your entire catalogue. Oh, great. Thank you, Simon. I'm glad that you... always great to see people go back into the less popular videos. you probably have a better idea of how my videos have progressed than I do with distance. But I think this article talks a bit more about where desktop publishing began. And that's kind of what I want to focus on in my video, is about the intersection of desktop publishing, and then obviously I'm going to talk about when Clipart came to Microsoft Word and Office, and then it became the thing that we all used in the 90s, and then its disappearance, and talk about maybe why did it disappear, what's the modern day equivalent, and where's the future, especially with AI images, but I'm not going to dwell too much on the AI aspect. Just a little footnote at the end. But I'm interested in the history, but that early stuff, the ExecuVision, the kind of very early days, I think is not going to be the focus. But this is interesting. Let's have a look about some of the early desktop publishing stuff. So Print Magic, Epics with a Y. I'm going to try and zoom in a little bit more, so maybe you have a chance of reading along with me. Epic's printing program was released a while back, but when I received a copy, it wouldn't work with my 5-year-old printer, an indication of how fast things move in the world of personal computing. Wow, if it won't work with 5-year-old technology, that's pretty fast. There's an important lesson in this. Never buy a program unless you know for sure that it works with your particular equipment. Like these New York Times tech reviews are kind of like those recipe blogs that give you their entire daily backstory before they get to the actual recipe. I don't know. That's my feeling reading these. But don't take the salesperson's word for it. Thoughtful companies will say somewhere on the package just what kind of computers and printers the program requires, including amounts of memory, types of color display, joystick or mouse, and the like. Okay, yes, that's great. Here we go. Print Magic helps you design greeting cards, flyers, and banners. All of its features are accessible through a series of on-screen menus from which selections may be made from the keyboard or with a mouse. And what I like about these these early software reviews is they kind of mention a lot of things that we would take for granted now, like using a mouse with a piece of software, but they were still getting these norms established. The features are far more flexible than they were in earlier similar programs. You can select a stock graphic or create your own, make it bigger or smaller, and move it to any part of the screen. There's a large choice of clip art and type styles, and you can also use the disc collections of clip art intended for the graphics scrapbook, print shop, or PC paintbrush programs. The manual explains the program well, though after a few sessions you probably won't need the manual at all. Printer output is good if slow on my snazzy new machine. Yeah, did they? Oh no, some of them are just. Then it's just put together with. Is this put together? Scrabble board. And it's just in with a bunch of other random software reviews. So that's the first kind of feature of a desktop publishing suite in the New York Times. Quite interesting. And oh, you can see some of the contemporary. Here's some of the contemporary computers they were talking about that they were running, the snazzy new machines at the time in 1988. We have the Intel 386, not even at the 486H. Uh, but what are we talking about then? 512 kilobytes main memory, 60 megabyte hard drive. Yeah. EGA card and monitor. I remember as a kid that yeah, it was the age of like VGA, SVGA. People used to still talk about that stuff when I was a kid, and it was always like because there was no internet to actually look up what these acronyms means. I always thought VGA stood for very good something. I don't know what EGA is meant to stand for. I definitely still don't know. Keytronic keyboard and 1.2 megabyte floppy disk drives. 1.2? I think it was 1.44. It may not have. Maybe that disk density changed before then. Yeah, but yeah, 512 kilobytes of main memory and 60 megabyte hard drive. And I think something I do want to talk about in the video actually is the CD-ROM and how that really changed things for Clipart. And I think it might be a surprise, especially to people who are younger, who might see the video of just, yeah, never having lived in a world of digital scarcity. That that's like 1.2 megabyte floppy disk drives. Software used to come on floppy disk, and you maybe get 6 disks or something like that to install stuff. And dark cables are king. No one will convince me otherwise. Nice to see you, Lewis. Good to see you. Yeah, so floppies were like 1.44 megabytes when they got to their highest capacity, and then CD-ROMs was 650 megabytes. Once we got to CD burning, it kind of, I think there was some wiggle room, but it meant that suddenly you had a 600, 500 time explosion. That's not good math, but we had a huge explosion in terms of storage capacity. And that enabled entire libraries of clip art to be put up for sale and became extremely cheap to produce once you had the material. And it really changed. Yeah, it changed a lot. And I think one of the big things I want to look into is actually the Corel Draw suite. Although I'm a little I think I'm going to touch on the Corel Draw suite, but actually I'm going to dive deeper on them in a future video at some point. When I talk about the Bitstream font library, because if anyone's ever used Corel Draw, or if you've been to any kind of weird like mall kiosk where they make customized baseball caps or any of that stuff, they're all running Corel Draw, which is this very it's still around. I mean, the Corel Corporation is still around. I think they've been subsumed under someone. But they just had quite a different approach from Adobe, and they just wanted to give you everything in one purchase. And there was like a very much like, almost like those old infomercials of, wait, there's more. And you got the fonts, and you got the clip art, and you got everything. But it was extremely popular, not only just, not only in kind of small shops, and especially like vinyl cutting machines and all these kind of like more esoteric ones never really use standard stuff. For some reason, they always use Corel. And I know that in the developing world, we meant to say developing world, but a lot of developing market countries, Corel Draw was widely pirated and widely available. And so that font library that came bundled with them became hugely influential. And actually, a lot of those fonts were legally in a gray area. I want to explore that in a future video. Not this one, but they were one of the main sources. Yep, the hot air balloon covers. Actually, the thumbnail for this stream came from the Corel Draw clip art library. Well, this is the other telling kind of thing, was in those days, because they would come on like something like 8 CD-ROMs before DVD, so still put them on 8 CD-ROMs or something. They would actually be easier to flip through a printout of thumbnails of the clip art in a printed form than actually load all the images. So there was like a print catalog of um, these clip art bundles, and that was where I stole that thumbnail for this from. But anyway, that's interesting. Can we get any more recent references about clip art and about desktop publishing words that make pictures that work for a child? 1992. The envelope, please, and with an address. The executive computer. The 1992. The 90s. We're getting a lot more mentions of clip art in the early 90s. Nintendo Kid word processing. Interesting. CD-ROM drives get plenty of fodder. Here we go. Or CD-ROM review. I'm going to see if we can scan it. So I guess this is like, yeah, 94. No, I've opened up the wrong tab. I'm going to have to close these so that I don't get too confused. CD-ROM drives get plenty of fodder. 1994. Disk's reach can exceed its grasp. Yeah. I like that illustration, I guess. What is this? The movie starts and you have the leading role. Blah, 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 blah. They're always they never get, they're all very florid writers at the New York Times. Interactivity is hardly new. Books allow browsing. Experimental plays and films let audiences influence the action. The most popular interactive medium in the early 1960s. Oh, no, I've skipped a line. Where are we? In recent years, interactive works have latched onto the delivery medium of CD-ROM, which stands for Compact Disc Read-Only Memory. Until an information highway can deliver higher performance, producers are using CD-ROM titles as training wheels. Actually, that's somewhat prescient. I mean, this is the era of like full motion video games and all that stuff. It was all pretty rubbish as a concept, and we had this. Was it Black Mirror, Bandersnatch? That's kind of, I think, the future that this person is imagining. Information highway. Apparently, I haven't got to information superhighway yet in 1994. CD-ROM is something of a technological accident, physically identical to an audio CD. It can be produced cheaply on the same machinery, but a format initially designed to deliver an hour of high-quality audio is hardly ideal for conveying a similar quantity of much richer video data. But what did they talk about? Did they talk about clip art in this one? 5,000 titles. Yeah, there we go. Yet this infant medium has nonetheless undergone a boom reminiscent of the Berry era of television. There's another reference. Oh, Milton Berle, right. Milton Berle. I do know that name, but that is way before my time. Sorry, 1994. I don't get your pop culture references. Undergone a boom of reminiscent of the Berle era of television. Just 3 years ago, multimedia hardware and software were virtually unavailable. Since then, an astonishing flood of products has appeared in every category imaginable. Today, there are more than 5,000 titles. 5,000 CD-ROMs. Ranging from business data to games, clip art to music, museum collections, pornography to education. Oh, again, demonetization. Yes, people used to get their solo leisure material from CD-ROM. Well, no, we won't do that for the stream. Let's not go down that rabbit hole. This is a live stream. Yes, welcome. Thanks for joining. So sorry if you're missing the context. We've been going, almost half an hour now. I'm not sure if that's from when this started. My clock's covered by my, my clock is covered. Yeah. We've been going for a little while. So to reset, to just talk about what the stream is, diving into some of the history of clip art and where it came from, the era of desktop publishing.
Could you try again?
Oh my God, Siri, you are such a bimbo. Sorry about that, everyone. I don't know if you heard that. But yeah, when will Siri actually get good? Can anyone answer? Because I feel like that's probably as old as CD-ROM. The the point of the stream is to dive into some of this old archive material about Clipart, and we're about half an hour in. So I'm going to switch from some of these articles into some of the vintage magazines, some of the periodicals. Was there adult entertainment on floppy disk? I think you will find yes. I think there was probably on cave painting. So, but let's dive into the more savory, safe for work world of some of these desktop publishing specials. And this one jumped out because there's a Clipart buyer's guide. But let's have a quick leaf through. I mean, this is. I'm gonna see if I can make it full screen. There we go. But this is some very primo 90s or 90. This is 1990. What? 1989. Sorry, late 80s. Yeah, the Clipart Buyer's Guide is on page 138, and definitely I wanted to read through that on stream. But I wanted to see what other kind of stuff is in here. That's that. I mean, they don't make ads like this anymore. Just the amazing. You can see the effect of that lemon ad from VW. Just still way in here of like just a big photo, or just a simple object photo, and then that kind of Garamond giant headline. I mean, I think. Yeah, there's a little bit of influence. We just don't have print ads like this anymore. It's kind of amazing. Some of them, oh my god, sorry, that is wow, 1989's greatest CGI graphics. Let's can we? I've got to hold shift. Wow, what is this? I'm assuming this is a mouse on a block of cheese. Is this an NFT? Hi Linus. Open my eyes, interest fonts. Thanks. Nice to have you joining us from Germany, Moritz. This should be. It's very hard to make out, but I believe this mouse is also wearing. This might be before the age of Urkel, but they are what we would call Urkel style glasses. And I don't know if that's a graduation cap or not. This is just, I mean, this is why I wanted to open some of these on stream, because you just don't know what's going to be around the next page. So I hope you are ready to ingest some nightmare fuel. I need to have something around that will actually keep track of the time for me. So, okay. I can indulge myself with streaming for a little while longer. So let's see how far we get today. But hopefully it will be entertaining, if not educational. Yeah, that's not that. Yeah, great. Finally, the Macintosh is a powerful yet simple accounting software. Wanted for breaking Murphy's Law. What? I know about Moore's Law. I don't know about Murphy's Law. Oh, no, is that, if it can fail, it will. Okay. Yeah, Sod's Law, Murphy's Law, 3M diskettes. I'm kind of sad that it's impossible to get floppy disks anymore. Is it true that Zoomers don't know? Oh, Hong Kong, hello, and Jakarta. Nice for you to join us. Probably a better time zone for you than for me. So I'm glad. What are you doing watching this so early in the morning, late at night? I'm not sure. The diskette has become hard to. Coleslaw, no. Diskette has become hard to find now, and kind of wish I could. I want to kind of have one for like a backdrop or something, but dealer, wow. Free fonts. You get the word fonts in, and I'm gonna have to stop. Free fonts worth $1,000. Very early in the morning. Oh. Okay, what are they? Do they name what fonts we get? print quality. Panther PDX is an ultra speed PostScript compatible thing. Okay. But what fonts do I get? Includes, okay, the C Panther PDX includes a $1,000 package of fonts from Cassidy and Green. I don't know of, oh, all right, bad interface. I don't know of that font foundry, Cassidy and Green. Has anyone heard of them before? Seems like a very inflated number. Cassidy and Green. That's not a bitstream. That's not a linotype, monotype. That's not anyone that I would remember. So this may have been like a sales gimmick of just there was rampant font piracy during this era. And that's kind of what I want to do a video about in the future. And even some of the well-known ones were guilty of that. So it wouldn't surprise me if this $1,000 package of fonts was just a bunch of copied designs from other places by some obscure things. Get all the gory details. Okay, taking care of business. I'm going to try to, can I scan? Or no, it doesn't let me. Yeah, I'm going to try and take it faster. Otherwise, I'll just be looking at ads the whole time. Actually, I'm going to skip forward to, it said it was around 1:30 something, and we'll get to the actual article I was looking at. Right. Or have I forgotten where it was? I may have forgotten where it was. Let's go back to our table of contents. Yes, if you've just joined us, we are looking at a table of contents. Oh, it was close. I was just slightly ahead. 1:38. So I think that the scan. Oh, here you go. Oh, okay. The Clipart Buyer's Guide, Macworld's third Buyer's Guide, shows that Mac Clipart collections offer something for everyone. So this I've definitely seen. This is not the first edition. This is the third Mac Buyer's Guide to Clipart. So let's jump into to read a little bit about the specifics of how Clipart worked in 1989 on the Mac side of things. Can I? Yes, we can. No, I've scrolled too far. There we go. Okay, story time. What do teddy bears, samurai warriors, human skeletons, and military aircraft have in common? Not much, really, except that they can all be found in several Macintosh Clipart collections. If you're in the market for prefab art, you now have hundreds of discs and thousands of images to choose from. Mac art is being generated at a rapid clip by more than 50 companies. In addition to floppy disks, several companies now offer compact disks packed with images in almost every subject area imaginable. Mac Clipart falls into 4 basic species. Oh, species. Bitmapped, brackets paint, draw, PICT, scanned images, TIFF, and in ever-increasing amounts, PostScript. Each format has its advantages and its drawbacks. Bitmapped and TIFF images capture fine-grained dot-by-dot detail, but can take up a lot of disk space and are difficult to modify, and may lose clarity when scaled. This is true, always has been true of raster graphics. PICT, picked images, can be easily scaled or modified with a drawing program, so there's some kind of vector. But are losing ground to the elegant flourishes of PostScript's Bezier curves. So picked must have been a vector format without Bezier curves, so like only drawing straight lines. I guess that sometimes you see that with well, as a designer, sometimes I see that with like floor plans from CAD programs. There's actually no curves in them; they're just all like very small line segments. Maybe that's what that was. I haven't had any direct experience with that format. That this is from 1989. But yeah, Bezier's the elegant flourishes of PostScript's Bezier curves. Many Clipart developers are turning to freehand and Illustrator 88 to create crisp, clean, and editable artwork. Those images are often available in the parent application's format or saved as an encapsulated PostScript, EPS. If you have Illustrator 88 or Freehand, you can edit EPS images, adding or changing colors, scaling images, modifying paths, or even separating images into their component parts and combining them with parts of other images. Freehand owners can open art created with Illustrator 88 if it's saved as EPS or Illustrator 1.1 format, but colors may be altered in the translation. Freehand. Did SVG not exist? Are you? Yeah, that's got to be a troll comment there, Ross. The SVG was, I think, in the mid was it 2010s or 2000s when that was developed? I know it was not around when, yeah, 2000, when I was in university 50 years ago, it was not around. But Freehand, I think was when I think Freehand was still kicking around for a while in the early 2000s before it got bought up first by Macromedia and then Macromedia got bought by Adobe. Okay, 2009. Interesting. Oh, sorry, Ross. I don't mean to discriminate against younger people tuning in. But that's what I think. That's what's really interesting is actually, I feel like an old man internet sometimes, being an elder millennial, and just kind of a little bit too young for some of these like vintage computers. WIMP was that was a terrible format. WIMP. I remember some of these, Windows 95, even Windows 3.1, but like Commodore, Amiga, all that kind of stuff, way before my time. Or not way, but before my time. And like, yeah, people who are born more recently don't know what about obsolete technology, nor should they necessarily. But I hope to inform. SVG, yeah, is a superior format in some ways, but standardization of different image formats wasn't really needed in that way until the web, because you couldn't take files from a Mac and put them onto a Windows machine in all cases, and open them in the same program. So this is, the kind of walled garden thing even back then, but also like, what are they called? Machine architectures, incompatibilities, and other things. But yeah, the web actually made us all actually have to develop more universal standards, which was good. But yeah, this was a messy process, and that's something I do want to talk about in the video, is that comparing how you can find stock images on the web now. If you want a picture of, I don't know, a panda eating bamboo, you can just search on Google Images if you're just putting it in your own personal, school report or something, or if you're going to put it in a presentation or something, you can go to free image sites, Unsplash, etc. Probably doesn't have a panda, but you can certainly search any number of stock sites, and it's only a matter of a few clicks to be downloading the image. And before the internet, it was just such a different concept. Like, you would maybe buy these generic Clipart collections, and there was, yeah, like with the Corel one, you could maybe it would be faster to go get the printed out thumbnail book and just go like an index in a book. Like, can you imagine the barbarity of subject by subject? You search for the animals section and then scan through and see, is there a panda on this? Oh, it's on disc number 8. Oh, it's in, CRD. CDR format was Corel Draw. And then, I can't open a Corel Draw file into a Word document, so I have to open it and export it as a WMF WMF format or something. Yeah, Erfurt Fenton. That's an interesting one. But it was just, yeah, and that's assuming you even had the Clipart stuff to begin with. If you didn't have that, then you have to, I don't know, go find a PC magazine or one of these Macworld things and find who was selling them, and then call up the company and order it by mail and send a check. It's impossibly different, the whole experience of using and finding art now than it was then. So that's why I think it will be an interesting video. Hopefully. Okay, but yeah, with all these companies and all these formats, what's a clip art shopper to do? Yeah. For starters, you can examine clip art collections to find which companies supply images in the subject areas you want. To be included in any category in the table, a collection had to have at least 4 images in that category. 4. So if it had, we have sports images, they have maybe 4. The table will help you narrow your search, but how do you know if a given company's artwork meets your standards? Look at the figure 8 Abes, for example, and note the vast differences in how the same subject is rendered by different companies. This is obviously a very helpful guide given the preface. I've marked companies whose artwork I recommend in the table with a star and provided samples of quality artwork in Clipart Gallery. Your best bet is to contact likely manufacturers for information. Many will send you promotional material with sample drawings. Can you imagine, like, ringing up a company and say, hey, you sell Clipart, can I get some sample drawings? It's crazy. For a comprehensive visual overview, you can purchase the Electronic Clip Art Digest, $135.95, including shipping, from the Electronic Clip Art Company. Oh, I need to find this. This is what I need to find. The Electronic Clip Art Digest. Catalog includes more than 15,000 images from 30 companies, as well as a detailed subject index and clip art sampler disc. Wow. I'm going to screenshot this because I need to see if I can find that. Hopefully someone scanned it, or otherwise I'm going to have to maybe try search eBay. If traditional clip art formats don't meet your needs, perhaps 3D clip art will. Enabling technologies. Clip 3D includes software that lets you tilt, rotate, and add perspective and lighting to color images, which can then be saved in MacPaint, TIFF, or EPS formats and transferred to other programs. The $99 volume encompasses the following categories: geography, fonts, accents, business, lifestyle, messages, people, and recreation. Comstock, later purchased up by Adobe. No, not Adobe. Getty. Getty is the towering monolith stock. Offers 5 volumes of stock photographs stored as TIFF images on CD-ROM. The images which are licensed for in-house, non-commercial use fall into the following categories: business, health and fitness, travel and vacations, people, and miscellaneous. Or if you have an image you want to convert to a Max Graphics format, several companies will oblige. Wordscapes will convert a logo, technical drawing, or just about any other type of graphic into EPS format. The Sorcerer's Apprentice will magically transform photos or video frames in VHS, Betamax, or 8mm format into Mac artwork. Wow. Where do you work? The Sorcerer's Apprentice. Finally, some clip art companies take requests. For example, Shoker Graphic Arts and Design offers a service called Clipart to Go. If you have a special request, they'll create artwork for you. The company will also convert logos or other drawings to EPS or PICT format. With a little perseverance, you're bound to find the subjects and styles that suit your publications. There you go. Let's dive into this guide and see some visual examples then. The 8 Abes. Wow, it is. That's not 8. Have I not zoomed out far enough? Oh, okay, there we go. Oh, this is a wide. Oh, it's a full-on table. This is quite the matrix of who offers what. Remember, if there's a dot in these under, I wish there was. I'm sorry, archive.org, but it is a bit frustrating not to be able to just drag and move around the thing. But basically, yeah, Adobe Systems, Adobe Collector's Edition, blah 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 blah. So how much were these in 1989? $150 for some of these. Some much more much more affordable. $12.95 per disc. Quite at the price range. $250 for Mac Art Library. $35.79. Quite a lot of variance. But if they had a little dot here, that meant that they had at least 4 images in that category. This looks like a piano roll. The amount of. Hang on. Oh, I'm at the top. Okay. The 75, 39.95, 129.95, 125. Okay, so like the top end, $250. The low end, like $13. But this is $1989, and that's a hell of a lot of money. A hell of a lot of money. Let's have a quick look at the different renderings of Abe Lincoln to see. And I'm assuming that if they're pixelated, that is because they just weren't in vector format. So there's Tea Maker Company. This was need a tier ranking for the 8 apes. Yes. Someone, yeah. We should get on that. But Tea Maker Company has been listed in a few of these articles about not stock photos, about Clipart as one of the biggest at the time. But that's a pretty crap Abe Lincoln silhouette there. You have to give it. I mean, look at all that aliasing. Look at that. That is jaggedy. Multi-ad services. I mean, that's an improvement. It's an improvement. It certainly is more of an Abe Lincoln. I know magazine layouts used to be cut and paste. I guess clip was, yeah, they used to be clipped. There was another reference I found somewhere where it was talking about clip art for education purposes and like making like overhead projector slides, all this kind of stuff for teachers. And they talked about it being a reference to there would just be provided. I think it was when it was photo duplication. You would cut out from a master sheet some of this and then paste and photograph and all that kind of stuff. Physical cut and paste. This is why apparently it's called Clipart. I don't have that loaded in tab, but maybe I'll explain why is it called Clipart. Someone from Wikipedia, practice of physically cutting images. There you go. Oh, this Cassidy. Oh, then Cassidy and Green. Maybe they weren't such a fly-by-night company. Maybe they just disappeared in the early 90s or something. They weren't around by the time I was getting into graphic software. Cassidy and Green. That's a much more handsome looking, much younger Abe Lincoln than the others. Oh no, that's going to move me forward in pages, isn't it? Okay, here we go. Who else do we have? Oh, dynamic graphics. This Abe Lincoln is getting some real vibes. This Abe Lincoln's about to like put a cap in someone's ass. He's got that death stare. Wow. Vistatex Corporation. That's some interesting texturing going on. That would just increase the file size. Why would you do that? I guess it must be. It's probably. I think this was probably scanned from some low-res print source, and that's the moire pattern that's been left inside the image. Pretty crap. Pretty bad quality there. Goldmine Publishing. That's also not great quality. Mars Computing. Oh, he looks wooden. He looks like he's made of wood, like that guy's. The guys. There's another. Since we're talking about the 80s and 90s, old people references. Cassidy and Green closed in 2003. Ah, interesting. Speaking of old references, the guy with the wooden hand in Happy Gilmore, his like coach is like a wooden hand. Anyway, that's. I don't think anyone's gonna remember that reference. There you go. Is that the full buyer's guide? Have we got the whole thing? Oh no, it keeps going. It keeps going. There is a lot more than that. How many pages is it? Oh, I think that is quite a few. Oh, so we got some interesting other samples. Adobe systems. Yeah, I mean, the Adobe stuff is going to be pretty polished. What have we got here? Sunshine Graphics. That's some Alphonse Mucha work, probably public domain by then, so they could just scan and sell that. And that fish. This is something that I wanted to get into in the video. Is like, where do these images come from? Hello, other Linus. Gray Lego blocks. Are you the other Linus that I'm thinking of who's into Lego? Who may or may not share a name. This chart, the layout artist had to put this together on Quark. Yes, they would have probably put this together on Quark or 1989. I suppose they would. Yeah. Metro Image Base. Yeah, that's actually pretty. That looks like original artwork there. This looks like some original, but it looks scanned. It's definitely scanned. 3G graphics with impact. Oh, swing line stapler. Hey. Hello, Linus. Linas. No, I'm confused now. And that one, oh, no, not so good. Ah, these ones, that's what I would think of. So, I mean, there was, yeah. Let me know in the chat. This is if this has been interesting to go into this old school stuff. But I also kind of like, the questions I'm interested in answering in this video, when I put it together, is like, where did the art that ended up on these CDs come from? Like a lot of cases, it seems it was just, public domain stuff that was scanned, digitized, but obviously there was a lot of original artwork created. Talking about, well, yeah, cross-checking all those marks. I know that it would have been a pain to produce some of these layouts. Like the vintage, like editorial design could be its own video someday. But like, I'm interested to know who were the actual artists. I just watched a very good video by what's the Australian guy's name? Struthless. He's yeah, interesting mix of different genres on his channel, but he's got some good overviews of, like, from an illustrator's point of view about some subjects. He's got quite a good, like, long-term timeline thing about fonts, which I thought was pretty good. If you want the big picture, I would recommend his video. But he just had one about the corporate Memphis art style that I watched recently, and he talked about actually some of the artists that had that corporate Memphis style that everybody hates, the Allegria Facebook style of illustration, who were doing that style before Facebook started doing it, and kind of, feeling, sorry that they just became associated with all that hatred through no fault of their own. But it made me think, like, oh, there are really, clip art artists of the 90s, and like not this is too early, because you would have to buy it. I think when Microsoft entered the picture and it started bundling clip art with Office and Word, they had the big bucks, right? Microsoft were the big tech giant of the 90s, and they commissioned some really good art in that library. I mean, not all of it was good at all, but some of it was. Some of it was really interesting. There were like whole sets of stuff, I remember, back in the day. And there's a very distinctive clip art look from the 90s as well. But I don't know how I would find those artists, who they are. But yeah. I'm sorry, I'm just reading through some of the chat now. They did have some nice art styles. I just also don't know where. A lot of them also ended up online, which actually ironically makes them harder to find because they haven't been archived. Yeah. So, yes, I think we are done with this issue of Macworld, unless we find something hilarious. Oh, they're demonetized. I'm kidding when I say demonetized. By the way, this video is not monetized. this stream. Some of those Macintosh interfaces. Can we find anything a bit more contemporary? Oh, this is going even older, right? This was 1987, but I'm not. It's not that interesting. So, jumping around a bit on this one. This one I kind of opened the tab, but I'm not sure it's that relevant. I had quite a few issues of Macworld. Here, making the point: powerful software and clever techniques for presentation graphics. Video card comparisons. The Macintosh magazine, 89. This was I have to say I really love this cover illustration on this one. I mean, you don't see that style. That style was really cool. This I don't know, like neo construct. It's got some elements of some early 20th century illustration styles, but done in a really unique early 90s way. It makes me think of like a New Jack City album cover or something. It's kind of Soviet looking. Yeah, it is kind of Soviet looking, but also like actually I was in that Truthless video. The guy who did all those posters, Bauhaus guy. I'm terrible with some of those older references, but there is something cool about this style that I wish that would make a comeback. The thing is that we'll never have this editorial style again because I definitely want to do a story about editorial design at some point. I just saw there's a great in Business Week, is it? I'm going to say they've just done a whole issue dedicated to one 89-page article, whatever it is. And I was like having a flip through it. I was just like, wow, there is some very interesting editorial design in terms of stuff that is that anti-design stuff that was in my trends video. But seeing it in a print thing was very interesting. I've skipped past this. This is what we should have a look at. Getting started with HyperCard, the iconoclast. Stephen Wolfram. Oh, Wolfram, like Wolfram Alpha? Stephen Wolfram and his amazing program will change mathematics. There you go, 1989. Don't remember. Yeah, Wolfram Alpha. That's even old now as a reference. Where is the thing about features? Features. Shopping for scanners. Enhancing PostScript fonts. There's Erfurt Fenton again. You don't have to be a graphic designer to jazz up your type. Font editing programs let you add your own distinctive touch to PostScript fonts. That would be interesting. That might be relevant when I finally do the history of... Oh, how do I kill the spam? I can't moderate from here, can I? No. Sorry, I can't moderate. Please block that spam if anybody... everybody knows how. But yeah, I'm going to, at some point, do, finally, the long-awaited video on the history of word art for people who have been long-term subscribers. And again, it's on. I like diving into the stuff that's overlooked by, not the... It's the junk food of graphic design. Oh, George, thank you. I don't know where this recording may be available. I'm not sure I'm going to put it on. I might put it as an unlisted video in a special playlist for people who might want to sit and listen to me prattle on at a later point. I am probably going to put this somewhere, so look in the playlist on the channel. But getting down to black and white, color may look flashier. Brushes with color. Picking the best presenter. Which presentation package you use? What should we have a look at? This is because it's kind of desktop publishing available. I'm going to jump a little bit off topic and look at this article about enhancing PostScript fonts because I wonder if it is those like text effects things that kind of preceded word art. Um, oh, thanks, George. You have a good night. Let's jump to 134. 134. Let's see. And it's by the way, I had no idea that anyone would tune in for this. Oh, shopping for scanners. Would necessarily want to tune in for this. This is like an experiment to see if anyone would find it interesting, me just talking out loud while looking through old sources. So it could happen again. Someone asked, do you research streams like this often? It is. Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad you're finding it interesting. This is the first one, Peckover. First time I'm trying it. I have to say, I think I put it in the description. I'm stealing this idea from Phil Edwards, who did something kind of like this. But obviously, he has a much more journalistic approach. And but he kind of showed his research process in a stream, and I thought it would be a nice way to make it kind of a community thing. So I might do it. I mean, I find it hard to schedule in advance because I have a very young child, and it makes planning in advance for various things. Okay, I found the right article. A bit difficult, but I might actually give a little bit more notice next time when I'm going to stream, because this has been actually a nice way to spend an hour. It's been maybe a little bit over an hour, so I think I'm going to keep the stream going for another 10, 15 minutes and see how we wrap it up. But it's been lovely of you all to join me for this. Enhancing PostScript fonts. Bend fonts and influence people. How to add graphic touches to text. It is very word art-like. PostScript typefaces are experiencing a population explosion. I think Erfurt Fenton seems to have a similar interest set to me. So let's see what he has to say. PostScript typefaces are experiencing a population explosion thanks to several companies entering the Macintosh font market and to the continued productivity of a half dozen established companies. I've got thanks to several companies entering the Macintosh font market and the continued productivity of a half dozen established companies, I've got a font menu as long as my arm. Well, no need to brag. But even with all those fonts up my sleeve, I still didn't have one that looked exactly right for the newsletter banner I'd recently promised to design in my alleged spare time. You're telling me. Fortunately, though, I just obtained several programs that allowed me to make the custom font I needed by altering one I had on hand. I don't know if that's actually... Is that in the terms of the software license? Yeah. Thanks for joining us. I'm glad I hope this is... If you're a final year design student, this is your untold heritage. This is like, let me tell you about the ways of the ancients. Fortunately, though, I just obtained several. Blah, blah, blah. Thanks to these programs, you no longer have to be an artist or type designer to add your own graphic touch to a type style. Now, even we typeface neophytes can have the satisfaction of doing it our way, even if we don't earn a place in the annals of great type design while we're at it. Fair call. There's some self-awareness. There's more self-awareness on display in this article than most word art. Rutherford, great to see you on here. Yeah, we're looking at Macworld May 1989, the early days of type manipulation. It's a little off topic from our original kind of conceit of looking at the history of Clipart, but some of these old Macworld things, I just had to delve into this because I'm at some point going to do something I've long promised, which is going into the history of word art and all of its predecessors, all of the PostScript type manipulation programs and serious things like that came before Microsoft stole the feature and brought it to the masses. A sea of faces. But before we delve into altering fonts, let's look at the raw material, the fonts themselves. More than 20 companies now market PostScript fonts, from classic text faces to wacky decorative ones. A year ago, the majority of Mac type vendors offered mostly display, decorative, and novelty faces, leaving the lion's share of text faces to Adobe. Imagine the lion's share of typefaces being owned by one company. But recently, several of the big... what will he say next? Well, there's some good examples there. Guys including Bitstream, CompuGraphic, Monotype, and Varitype, but Mono who? Have entered the PostScript font game, and many smaller companies, including Alphabets and Neoscribe International, now offer excellent text faces as well. Yes, it has literally been years. Yeah. The font company, a newcomer located in Phoenix, recently announced plans to convert the entire URW. And I'm definitely not going to try and pronounce that Dutch name, but URW are very well known. Type Foundry. Type library to PostScript format. And Image Club has announced plans to release fonts licensed from ITC, International Typeface Corporation. Visual Graphics and several other companies. There have also been changes in distribution. DoubleClick. Wow, what an interesting way to write that. DUBL-click. Now markets. Is everything okay, my Greek friend? Or I may have completely misjudged what script that is. Something's going on in the chat. Mac Typography now distributes Century software and Invincible software. Adobe still has some advantages, however. Adobe's faces are built into Apple's laser writing family and many other PostScript printers, giving them widespread distribution. Okay. Oh, it's doing some side-by-sides. Variations on a face. Mac faces can differ directly from one manufacturer to another. Some companies give their own names. What's with all the many redacted messages? You have me puzzled. Some companies give their own names to classic faces to avoid copyright infringement. Your best bet is to write to manufacturers for catalogs. Again, we see a theme of writing. Oh, you may have used the forbidden word. Sorry to break the streak. You may have used the forbidden word coronated. I was very thankful for the success of my recent video, but I did find about 45 comments about coronated not being a word and the word is crowned to be my personal limit. So now no one can leave a comment with the word coronated on my channel. I'm sorry. I acknowledge my mistake. My errata is acknowledged in the pinned comment and in the captions and using YouTube's correction features. And I've, everyone has to draw the line somewhere. So that might be why your message wasn't getting through, but it might not be that at all. I have no idea. Yes, don't coronary. You're going to give me a coronary. But this is bringing up a good point. Write to manufacturers for catalogs or purchase Mac Typography's PostScript typeface sampler. Again, this kind of analog world where you would write to companies to send you paper printouts of stuff to peruse using all the high-speed infrastructure of the mail system. What a world. What a world. There's Casady and Green again. So they were a legit thing. They must have... why did I never see a Casady and Green typeface? Why have they fallen into obscurity? Maybe Rutherford knows a bit more about some of these guys. Adobe's Helvetica versus CompuGraphics Triumvirate. Yeah. Yeah. Adobe's Bodoni and Casady and Green's Bodoni. Yeah, very different proportions. Adobe's Gaudi Old Style Outsysses. Gaudi Old Style. Oh, that's very different kerning, very different fitting with these, even with different weights as well. Never heard of Casady and Green. I know they've come up earlier in the stream. One of the PostScript printers was boasting of $1,000 worth of fonts from Cascadian Green included with them. So apparently they went out of business in 2004, but they've been mentioned in Macworld quite a bit. I don't know. I don't know if I'm saying Cassady right. Maybe it is Cassidy, but it's not spelled how Cassidy was typically spelled. Okay, yeah, we're talking about marble tiles and fixtures. Oh, look at this. Applying Illustrator and freehand effects. Illustrator 88 and freehand let you modify text. The marble M was created with Illustrator 88's mask function. Wow, the mask function. That's, how far we've come. Seems like a pretty core function. But obviously this was new at some point. I mean, all features probably were new at some point. Place the letter behind the pattern to be masked, then group the letter and pattern before printing. With freehand, you can attach text to a path to create effects like this logo. Oh, the arched type effects. I mean, yeah. Brett, let me read your question quickly. Graphic designer chiming in. How did they get the lines so crisp in the times before vector art? Also, did newspaper/other print media have stockpiles of usable graphics before digital? Before vector art, I mean, before vector art was... I'm not sure I know exactly how you mean. Yeah, I'm not sure I know. I don't know how to answer your question. Sorry, Brett. Who's they? Well, before SVG files, for sure. Sure, before SVG files. But there was... Well, in terms of text, I can say that there was a point. I think I brought this up in my Microsoft fonts overview. I was around. It had to be custom created. There we go. Chat to the rescue. Chat to the rescue. But there was a point at some point. I think I put in the Microsoft fonts video. I talked about before PostScript fonts, before vector fonts. Font technology has changed a lot, and I don't think I remembered what I said at the time because it's the arcane lore of how these things worked. But you would get a bitmap font displayed on your low resolution screen, which would only be a representation of the vector PostScript font, which would be stored in the printer, and so you would see this low res thing on screen, but the printer actually had the vector information on some of these. So very, very interesting workaround in some way. Don't shy away. Yeah, and he's talking about it here. Also, many faces from other manufacturers look fine at 300 dpi, especially when printed at larger sizes, and 400 and even 600 dpi laser printers are becoming more common, further eroding Adobe's low-res edge. Finally, many Macintosh publishers are shunning the laser writers near typeset quality, 300 dpi, and going after real typeset quality, sending documents to a service bureau to be printed at 1200 or 2400 dpi. There we go. So yeah, interesting. Let's have a look. Okay. Oh, he talks a little bit more about Cascadian Green, the venerable Cascadian Green, formerly Cassadyware, continues to turn out high-quality decorative and display faces. So they were around. This is in 1989. So they were venerable Cassadyware. Interesting. PostScript typeface overview shows PostScript types from 16 companies. Okay, that's showing opposite. So he's got a similar format to his other article. If you're shopping for Mac typefaces, I highly recommend Mac Typography's $54 PostScript typeface sampler. $54 in 1989. That would have been quite a bit for just getting a sampling of what typefaces you could purchase. Very different times. Very different times. The graphics connection. Okay. With all these PostScript typeface families to choose among, it seems almost inconceivable that you wouldn't find exactly what you need. All these, yeah. there were too many fonts in 1989. Um, little did they know. If it happens to you, still it happens. If it happens to you, PostScript graphics programs such as Adobe Illustrator 88, Aldous Freehand, or Cricut Draw. Oh, that's a new one. Never knew about Cricut Draw. Might be the answer. Since these programs speak the same language as Macintosh fonts, PostScript, you can use them to alter the appearance of letters. For example, you can skew, rotate, stretch, or compress a word, and the reshaped letters will retain the crisp outlines when printed, unless you distort them beyond recognition, of course. Yeah. Inappropriate effect. Placing a bounding rectangle around a word or letter. Pull the upper right handle of the bounding box and the word leans to the right. Pull on the top edge of the box and the word stretches upward. So yeah, he is talking about doing distortion of words. Oh, look at these. Look at these type samples. Okay, so we all know Adobe. Well, I'm assuming if you're still watching the stream, you're probably a huge nerd like myself. So I'm sure that you are familiar with the Adobe Corporation. Alphabet's Prospera. Is that that sounds familiar. Penstroke. Altsys. I think, were Altsys the ones behind Freehand itself? No, is that? Oh, maybe I'm getting disconnected. But Altsys, or am I thinking of another company beginning with A? Casadian Green. Okay, none of these typefaces look particularly familiar. CompuGraphic. Double Click Software. Well, there's Arnold Boken or whatever it is. Hobnob. Well, yeah, these are some very clearly bootlegged, like Hobo, and some clearly bootlegged fonts from Double Click. Electric Typographer. Tea Maker. Bombay. Again, some more clearly bootlegged fonts. We have BrushScript and why am I blanking? It's getting late that I wouldn't remember the name of Cooper Black. Yeah, Albertus, Abbott Old Style, Studio One, Circus, Modern Old German, Springboard. These Old Juvi, I would not buy. Mac Typography. Architects. Yeah, there's definitely some that are not particularly good examples of some older calligraphic styles. Trump Medieval. Well, it was not referring to what we would think of that word anymore. Caspian. M-dash. That's Architects. Is that a bootleg, or is that an original one? That's an interesting. What an interesting looking font. That was like a whole genre of fonts was architectural lettering that had a few good, well-known examples in it, but not many. And that one looks quite quirky. Anyway, this has been a kind of departure off the main topic. I think since I want to wrap up the stream in, I'll give another 12 minutes. Let's finish at 1:30. Let's have a look at archive.org's an actual Clipart CD and some of them. We have Super Clipart 1993, Art Appeal, Gifts Galore from Walnut Creek, Printmaster Gold, incomplete. Why are these Sonic ones coming up under this search? Clipart Goliath. So, oh, George Trump designed some very great typefaces. Ah, there you go. I did Didn't know that. I'm sure it's probably still in the Linotype catalog today, or the former Linotype catalog. Let's see. There's some stock photo ones. Shame they don't have. I remember there was yeah, photodisc, the photodisc era. You would sometimes get like a demo CD-ROM with some samples and stuff with some certain design magazines in those late 90s, early 2000s as well. Night Owl's graphics. Night Owl was like, I remember Night Owl showerware CDs as well. But which one should we have a look at? Because some of these are going to be quite off-brand. Shareware overload. Did I search for 2 words clip art? Yes, I did. Where 1 word clip art will get us a better result. Let's have a quick search. Well, quick relative on archive.org. What are you going to do? Hey, Linus, is there any good places where you can find free clip art? Depends what you consider good clip art. Yeah, searching for clip art with 1 word actually gives us some better ones. Yeah, this is what I want to kind of go into in the video is actually I think clip art is kind of a obsolete format or concept. I mean, the stock image has replaced clip art because clip art is very much a like static media thing. The internet means that we can find anything through search, and also that catalog can always be updated forever. And these just weren't. They would like you would buy the CD, it had those number of images on it, and if it was like a picture of the president or whatever, then and that changed, the person changed, then the thing was out of date. And so yeah, these stock image sites are now the new clip art. So obviously for free stock images, there's Unsplash, Pexels, and these for free illustrations. It's the economic incentives to make clip art for free are just not there. And it's a pretty thankless, anonymous kind of thing. Not like, well, I guess similar to editing Wikipedia. But there's some interesting ones here. Which should we open up? I think. Oh, here we go. This is good because this is actually a book. I think this is a book. No, it's not the book. It's an image of the CD. I want to get the actual catalog because then I don't have to like open up the ISO file and look at the files because I want to wrap up the stream. Can I find it under, would it be texts? Maybe? Yeah, it is under text. Oh, Corel clip art. Here we are. Let's have a look at the Corel clip art. The Corel clip art catalog, I think. Yes. So this is what I was talking about. I mentioned earlier in the stream was that their catalog would come on multiple discs. So it was just not worth you putting in 1 CD-ROM at a time and browsing through. So it was easier to just have one of these big, big like phone book like directories of where to find different things. So let's have a look. What categories do we have? Animals. Wait. We have animals, fire. Okay, but wait, is this just all of the files in order? No, this is going to be. Oh, I think my camera has overheated. Can you still hear me? I think that I probably forgot to set my camera to. Yep. Camera, disable cam. I probably forgot to set my camera to high heat mode. Okay, good. I'm glad that you can hear me. And now you can actually see this full screen, hopefully. Yeah. But it's okay. We're towards the end of the stream. It's giving me a nice Emmys or Academy Award style wrap it up. Oh, there we go. There's a few. Oh, I've got to borrow it. I've got to borrow it. Oh, hang on. Oh, ah ha ha. Oh, oh no. Might have to blur that out in the recording, but there we go. Let's borrow it for an hour. Let's see what we can find in here. So, this is the Corel typeface library, which was actually the Bitstream library. Again, somehow we've gone from Clipart into the fonts. I'm sorry, but you know, I can't help but be who I am with my own. Is this no? Maybe this isn't the. Is this the Bitstream library, or are these like some before they incorporated the Bitstream library? Gilbert Ultra Bold. So yeah, this is full of bootleg versions of more famous fonts. So Cupertino, here we have obviously Cooper Black. We had what was it? Brooklyn was. Oh, why is my mind blanking? Because it's very late and this is why is my mind blanking? Someone's gonna tell me this is disgraceful that I don't remember that font because it's very very well known, but it's getting long. Avalon, that's avant-garde, obviously. Bahamas is Bauhaus. Bangkok. Oh, which one's that? That's another famous one. Bassoon for balloon. Nice. We got quite a few. Adelaide was is that? No, was it? It's not Garamond. It's Rutherford. Army looks to be bootleg Amelia. Bangkok is Benguet. That's true. No, why is my mind blank on that one? It's not a slab serif. It's that other one. That's very old. Not Caslin. What's the name? This is another. That's like two signs now. That's two strikes for ending the stream. That I'm like forgetting some famous fonts, and my camera has overheated. Copperpot. We for Century Gothic. No, not Century Gothic. Again, bad signs. Bank Gothic. No. Eerie. There's like so many in there. So interesting. Clarendon. Thank you, Rutherford. Copperplate Gothic. Yes. Okay, so I think if I could get Rutherford to take over the stream at this point, I think we'd all be better. We'd be better off. It would be more interesting. But that one's weird. The key punch. That's some kind of OCR adjacent one, but it doesn't look like the real OCR font. Koala. That's also some other like Letraset famous script, isn't it? These are very Switzerland. This must be before they got the Bitstream library, because that's like famously Swiss 721 is their Bitstream knockoff of Helvetica. So, or unless they just didn't put those numbers in here or something, very strange. Yeah, a lot of interesting ones in here. Memorandum, American typewriter. Are there any that are actually Zurich calligraphic? That's cheeky. Isn't that Zap calligraphic? Is it? I think I should wrap it up. Let's jump into some actual. Okay, stop being distracted by fonts. So these are. I want to understand the layout of the catalog. Okay, so these are the folders, I think. 3G-3, 3G-2. Oh, so okay. So there was a key. The the first ones here before the fonts. These are pictograms that show the genre of clip art. Um, I'm assuming. Then you like leaf through baby one, baby two, baby 282. Huh. It shows you just the variability of art style. Oh my god, hair lip. Oh, wow. Baby 4. Isn't that the one from Ally McBeal? So I'm going to stop and read some of the comments here. I've wondered why the industry doesn't provide a standard way to display a sample of a font without needing a license for it. Even displaying a limited character map would require a license, right? That's really down to the yeah the foundry or type designer, how their license works. But I'm sure Rutherford could answer that one for you as well. It's not standard because probably for commercial interests from some of the major players would be my guess. Wow, tapes. Oh, the cassette tapes. That's pretty badly rendered there. Telephony. Truck USA. Let's see. What can we? Let's do some just flipping through this to finish off the stream, because we have reached my cutoff point. But can we? Let's try and find the most interesting or unsettling image that we can with a brief flip through. So you're getting like a simulated version of trying to find an image on a clip art catalog in 1990 something. Girl looks a bit interesting. And you could also, what was interesting about these was just the variability of like how much detail they have. This one's basically a pictogram stick figure, and this one's obviously like been not rotoscoped, but traced from a photograph. As is this one, a real mishmash. Logiprobe, a real mishmash of different art styles, and it was probably like produced through, I'm assuming, some kind of content farming. The names also, because the names would have been the character limit of 8.3. Is it 8.3? Some of the other old heads can. Oh, sorry. Some of the other old heads can tell me if I'm remembering right, but it used to be in like DOS days that your file names had to be 8 characters, and then the file extension had to be 3. So it was like 8 characters dot 3. Good. So yeah, that's why for our younger viewers, why some of these are mashed up the way that they are. Fire. Oh, there you go. There you go. Some flag. There's going to be some flags in here for countries that don't exist anymore. Where's Yugoslavia? This is out. Okay, we're in Africa. That's Asia. Canada. What is that? Central America and Caribbean? Trinidad, yeah. Here we go. Norway. Yugoslavia. There we go. Who needs an emoji flag now? Who needs... Oh, and the Swedish flag's there too. I feel nationalistic. No. And Wales. Wales has got an awesome flag. It's got one of the best flags. Actually, the renderings of the flags aren't bad. They, I mean, yeah. I'll leave Roman Mars to talk about flags. But I'm gonna wrap up the. Oh, there's a USSR flag in there too. Yes, there is. Oh, the USSR, Vatican City State. So I think I'm going to wrap up the stream there. It's been a bit of an experiment. Thank you for people who jumped in. And yeah, we're just being part of my rabbit hole dive. A lot of my research for videos is yeah, I'm sorry. It is my voice, my camera has died. My voice is dying, and I'm like getting tired enough where I'm forgetting like Clarendon and other famous typeface names. So apologies, but thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for letting me just blather on. You're only encouraging me to be this self-indulgent in the future, and I will try to do it, every so often. This is kind of how my research method goes behind videos. Often is just exploring weird rabbit holes. And I don't think that when I'm just like reading pure text, that I'll make it into a stream. But if there's some visual part and we could kind of get through a few different sources, hopefully it will be fun. So gonna leave it there, guys. Thanks everybody, and have a wonderful rest of your evening or day. Cheers.